Paul Pogba's career has reached a new low after he was banned for a doping test from Juventus. Given his absence from France international duty for 18 months, Paul Pogba took advantage of last week's international break to give a rare interview. He spoke about some of the difficulties in a year full of challenges both professionally and personally. "Sometimes I was alone, thinking I don't want to play anymore," he told the camera. No sooner had the interview been broadcast than the Italian anti-doping agency announced that the World Cup winning midfielder, who played 91 times for France, had tested positive for synthetic testosterone in a routine doping sample taken after the opening Serie A match. A season at Udinese, where Pogba was a non-playing substitute for his club Juventus. It was temporarily suspended with immediate effect, pending the results of the second examination of the sample. If Pogba is found to have intentionally used steroids, he will face a 4-year ban. The player's agent, Raffaele Pimenta, insisted, "What is certain is that Paul Pogba never intended to break any rules. We will wait for the counter-analysis. The results of that are expected during the week." This episode confronts Pogba with the possibility that his time in the elite tier of his sport could come to an abrupt end. He turned 30 earlier in March, while at the lowest ebb of a career that began with early promise in his teens and reached the pinnacle with his dramatic role in France's 2018 World Cup win. He had just completed the second year of his second spell at Manchester United, having cost what was then a world record transfer fee, €105 million, when United, who first signed him as a 16-year-old, bought him back from Manchester United. Juventus. Then the pattern of his career with the club was repeated, with his return last summer to Juventus, where he played between 2012 and 2016. Pogba, after a mixed time as Old Trafford's star midfielder, is often criticized. He was dazzling at times. He let his United contract expire and returned to Juventus for a fee but near the top of their pay scale. The ambition was to help Juventus regain dominance in Serie A. Their 9-year run of consecutive league titles ended in 2021 and compete in the latter stages of the Champions League. Juventus failed, and it was a terrible year for the club, finishing the season not only outside the top places in Serie A and seeing a group stage exit from the Champions League but disgracefully. It turned out that the club had falsified its accounts. Point deductions were imposed locally, and UEFA banned Juventus from participating in European competitions for the 2023/24 season. Pogba has been a bystander to almost everything, hampered by injuries that have caused friction within the club due to differing opinions over treatment. He arrived from United still recovering from the muscle problems that put an end to his United career: 226 appearances, 39 goals, 51 assists, a Europa League and League Cup medal in his second spell, 10 minutes after a 4-0 win. Defeat against Liverpool in April last year. In pre-season with Juventus, he then suffered a cartilage injury. One piece of advice was surgery. The alternative, which Pogba preferred because it might provide a way to play for France in the World Cup in Qatar in November of that year, was to resist a major operation and return to playing. He chose the latter at first. When surgery became the only viable option, time was lost. Pogba had not played competitive football for Juventus before February, and missed France's run to the World Cup final. He finished the first year with the famous Pogba, and Juventus also invited him to reunite with them, after he featured in the starting lineup only once. That was in May, when he was pulled from the first half with a hamstring issue. Off the pitch, there was also unrest, as police investigated a blackmail attempt against him, in which his brother Matthias was allegedly involved. He was reportedly held at gunpoint by blackmailers. "It was like a movie," Pogba said. These incidents are the subject of a complaint submitted by Pogba to public prosecutors in Turin. Mathias Pogba denies the accusations against him. Over the summer, Juventus, facing a year without the Champions League or indeed any income from UEFA's competitions, were keen to ease their wage bill. Leo Bonucci, Juan Cuadrado and Angel Di Maria, the big earners, have all departed. The club has watched with interest the enthusiasm to sign Pogba from Saudi professional league clubs, but the midfielder felt determined, after an almost empty 2022-23 season, to start earning the weekly wages Juventus have committed to in excess of €200,000 for him. He has been encouraged after 2 substitute appearances in the last 2 Serie A matches. If he is found to have intentionally taken a banned substance, Juventus will no longer rely on him, and the once great dynamic midfielder will face a final crisis.